Okay, we're talking to Liz, who is on Twitter at hyperlocavore. Liz, what is that all about?
Well, it's a site built around the concept of yard sharing, and it's a social network to enable and support people to share yards and trade vegetables and seeds and that sort of thing.
And what's the website address for that?
Hyperlocavore.com.
Okay.
Which is, I couldn't spell it. I'm a little dyslexic.
We'll put it up on the site so
Thank
people
you.
can see that. And then one of the concepts you work with is a concept called yard sharing. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. It's an arrangement between people to share resources to grow more vegetables close to home. So it could be a family unit or an extended family or a set of friends or a faith community or just a set of neighbors. And the idea is to get people growing their food closer to home to eliminate food miles, but to also cut down on the cost of organics for them. It can be expensive for people to eat well and right, and this really cuts the cost, especially in a yard sharing arrangement, because you're not starting at zero with the resources. Someone might have some tools, someone might have the space, someone might have, a seed collection or something like that, or expertise. There's a lot of people that are starting to garden now that are diving in, but just haven't done it before, and so could benefit from the knowledge of a person who's been gardening for a long time.
So have you seen a lot of increased interest with the state of the economy right now, or were things kind of gaining momentum even before that?
Well, it's an idea that I've been thinking about for a long time, though I'm not the only person that ever came up with it. I've been thinking about it since I was about 5.
Okay.
I lived in
before there was a term for it, right?
Yeah. There's when you live in a city, oftentimes in the middle of the city block, there's a large amount of space fenced off but really unused.
Right.
And so as a little kid, I would see those areas and think that people should be growing stuff there. But I got laid off from my nonprofit job about a year ago and had started to think of doing this as a serious project. And got going and opened the doors in January. Got the site up and running. So since January we've been going. In terms of the downturn, it's that was really at the height of the fear about the downturn. There's still fear, but if you remember around the time of the election, it was getting quite, the bailouts were going on and everybody was really kind of losing it. And so, there was a lot more interest in thrift and frugality and all of those things. I think those are values that are really reasserting themselves in the States and all over the place. So we've got members in Canada and the UK and everywhere.
So it's a good combination with the healthy eating, but more affordably.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And Orson Scott Card said, "Unemployment is God's way of telling you to plant a garden."
Right.
And so I think a lot of us have a little more time on our hands, maybe because we're not working or working less. So it's a way to supplement your household budget pretty substantively, actually.
Yeah. So do you see do you have any like municipalities or towns or cities that are looking at the yard sharing kind of movement and looking at doing things in a public space?
Yeah.
As well.
There are. It's on the roster for a few municipalities. I know that Santa Monica is looking at it. I'm trying to actually encourage municipalities to talk to me to get it done, because I can get them up and running in a matter of days and at no expense to them. I'm not running the site to make huge money off of cities or whatever, and they can just sort of offset the management of that resource, but get it going right away in the communities.
Right.
So any small town, any large city, any neighborhood block even, we can get them up and running right away. And given that there's so many cuts across the board happening at the municipal level, I think it's a real value to the citizenry to get the program up and running as quickly as possible. We're almost in summer now, so people really get going right away.
Definitely. So Liz, what do you suggest to people if they want to start a yard sharing group or something like that where they live? What should they do?
Well, first, I would say yard sharing is like dating. You don't really want to do it with just anybody.
So no blind yard sharing.
It's up to you. It's up to the amount of risk you accept in your life. If you go on Craigslist and have your fun Craigslist time, then that's the amount of risk you're willing to accept. And I suppose that would be the same way in yard sharing. If you're less willing to assume that type of risk, spend some time getting to know people.
Mhm.
You know, I
Especially if you're the one who's sharing the yard.
yeah,
or the
yeah. I
space.
mean, it is your property, and,
Yeah.
and the question is, you know, you need to be comfortable with having these people on your property, maybe sometimes when you're not there, and that kind of
Right.
thing, and the neighborhood. So it's good to let your neighbors know that you're starting to do this, so that they know those people coming to your backyard are allowed to be there.
Mhm.
We're working on a workbook right now to help groups sort through questions that they might have of each other in trying to establish the rules for their own yard sharing group. I mean, I wouldn't ever assume to establish the rules for yard sharing, but I think there's a lot of questions you can ask your group as to how you want to handle your own arrangement.
Right.
So I'm hopefully here to help you sort that out and come up with your own answers.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Liz.
You're welcome. Thanks
All
for
right.
coming by.